move a little, perfect, if you could do that.
Yeah.
That's perfect, perfect.
All right.
I'm Lindsay. Laura's Laura. Martha's Vineyard Museum is Laura.
Okay, yeah.
And
Mrs.
Laura.
Noonan.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
So, Laura's going to be taping it, recording it. And
Okay.
the final product will be just you. Hopefully we won't be in it.
Okay.
But we'll be up on your screen so you can see us.
Okay.
And Courtney couldn't join us?
No.
Oh, it's okay. As I said to you, this is, will become part of our oral history archive that we have about 17 or 1800 interviews with people. And they're using the museum for educational purposes, for research, etc. And that's what the release you had to sign. And then you might put on our Facebook page some of the current COVID-oriented interviews.
Okay.
So we'll run it by you first. You'll get to see it first. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. We're doing it in the this next year.
Okay.
So that sounds okay to you?
Yes.
Good. Okie dokie. So, Jarrett, can you tell me a bit about yourself? Where and when were you born?
I was born in 1981 in Richmond, Virginia. My great-grandparents actually migrated from Nova Scotia, Canada to here. Yes. Say that again?
I'm interrupting just because I go up to Nova Scotia every summer.
I think in Halifax.
Yeah.
So, and my mom used to come here as a child too, in the summers. She was born in Worcester, raised in Medford. Met my dad up in Boston. Had my two older brothers, Jermaine and James, in Boston, and then moved to Roanoke, Virginia, and then Richmond, where I was born. And then, so after that, my mom, moved back to Boston with us, and then we came down here in 1988. And my great-grandmother was sick at the time, and my mom, as a single mom, decided, to come down here and help her out. And my grandmother lived in Boston at the time. So my mom came down here and, looked for a job and ended up, becoming a toddler teacher at the Martha's Vineyard Hospital daycare center at the time. And we ended up all moving down here in Oak Bluffs and stayed at my great-grandmother's house on 2nd Ave. And then she passed away shortly, probably 3 years after. And, we down here, you move around from house to house, if you don't have a house, and because my mom couldn't afford the house anymore. So, my brothers ended up, one's 8 years older than me, the other one's 10. So they actually moved back up to Boston with my grandmother. And so it was just me and my mom down here. And, went to school here and did sports, played football, track, did acting in the theater, in high school, The Wiz, Little Shop of Horrors, was Homecoming King in 1999. Graduated in 2000, went to Curry College for 1 year, played football, and then I just realized, college wasn't for me at the time. And, down here you're expected to go off to college and, do all that stuff. But I said to myself, if I don't go to school, then I have to work really hard. And that's what I've done all my life, is just work. And in 2010, I ended up moving back to the vineyard. But I did say that again.
When you first moved to the vineyard with your great grandmother, to join your great grandmother, how old were you?
I was 6 years old.
And what was her name?
Geraldine Byard. And my great grandfather's name is John Byard.
And your mom?
My mom is Brenda Campbell. And then her mom is, shortly moved down here and is actually buried at the family plot in Oak Bluffs. And her name was Jessie Tyrants. And yeah, so it was just, I was the youngest out of all of us. And actually, my grandmother brought me here when I would say, I was real young, probably 8-9 months old. She brought me here on a plane to see my great grandmother so she could see the last, because they didn't know if she was gonna make it. So my grandmother brought me down here to meet her. There's pictures of it. And but come to find out, she ends up living a lot longer than everyone expected, which was pretty cool. So yeah.
What did you do for work before you moved back down here?
I worked for a couple, security companies, nightclubs. Worked at one Ashburton where Martha Coakley was. Worked at a Jewish synagogue, Temple Israel of Boston, for a number of years. Worked at Dunkin' Brands, which is the corporate headquarters for Dunkin' Donuts, doing security for a number of years. So I always had a day job, and then I always worked, bounced at night at the nightclubs in the theater district.
Great.
So I was really busy.
Was it fun?
It was fun. I lived with my grandmother, and then after she started getting, little dementia, so we ended up moving her down here. And at a young age, I had a lot of responsibilities. I was taking care of her and making sure things were taken care of, and then talked to my mom, and we decided to have her, come down here so she could get the care at Windermere. And so then I ended up actually getting an apartment right down the street from where she used to live in Jamaica Plain, because I used to go up there for the summers and help her out with her daycare center. Yeah.
So when you moved here year round, what did you start doing?
Well, I ended up contacting one. I stayed in contact with a lot of my friends who I graduated with and played football with. And my friend Seth Abbott was working in West Tisbury for Bill Graham at the time. So I ended up working there, doing the grounds and just property managing, and I've never done it before, landscaping. But it was really nice though to do the landscaping part.
That's so
it was
pretty.
it was a huge property, and I still work on the property to this day, and it's my only job, and I love it. I love what I do.
That's great. So how did you and Courtney meet each other, and when?
Well, I've seen her for a while. Well, when Seasons was open, she used to help out working down there, and my brother Bam used to bounce and bartend down there. So I would come down from college, and I would come down periodically to visit and stuff. So I've seen her when she was, working or helping out, and then I've just met her when she worked at the Lookout Tavern when I would go in there for dinner. And yeah, nothing of it, thought nothing of it. And, you know, I used to bounce at the lamppost, and then I became a DJ, but I used to see her, you know, and her friends. You know, the island is so small, you see groups of people who work together. They come out after a shift and coming out for drinks, and, you know, but it all started when she got a dog, and I have a dog, and it's, you know, let's meet at Tradewinds Airport and go for a walk. And that was 2 years ago.
What kind of dogs?
I have a pit bull mixed with American bulldog, and she has a rescue from St. Thomas, which is like a Rottweiler, Chihuahua, and Chow Chow. He's cute. He's a little 35-pounder compared to my dog that's like 90 pounds.
That's great. That's great. So 2 years ago, and so the romance, tell me about the romance developing.
It was, you know, we just went and walked with the dogs, and I was kind of giving her tips on how to train him, and, you know, it kind of really just started, I guess, with like the dogs and stuff, you know, and we just started hanging out, and, you know, and one thing led to another, and, you know, before a year even we were together, we bought a house together. I just knew she was the one.
And so when did you start thinking and talking about getting married?
It was, I would say it was always, we never really talked about it. I would joke about it mostly. You know, I would say, when are you going to marry me? Ask me to marry you. And she was, you know, laughed at it for a little bit, but then after a while it kind of got old and she was sick of hearing it. And so, you know, one day I decided, I had the ring for a while. I went, you know, found it, and I was waiting for the right time. And, you know, I just thought it was going to be the right time was, you know, I think it was in January is when I proposed. And, you know, we were going to do, you know, she said yes, obviously. And we don't want a big wedding. We never wanted a big wedding because I have a lot of friends. She has a lot of friends, and we just bought a house, and people who, you know, we couldn't think about paying, you know, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for just one day. So we had a plan to just at the gazebo on the property I work at, just our siblings, our parents, you know, say I do, and then go have dinner at the Harbor View, and then at a later date we're gonna have a, you know, a nice big party / reception for everyone. But things kind of got, you know, turned around with the coronavirus, and my mom being 70, and, you know, it's just a high risk, and I have asthma too, so it's just better for me to stay away from, you know, people, and just didn't want to put anybody's health in jeopardy.
So how did you come up with your plan of a virtual wedding?
Well, I was thinking we should, because you know, the social distancing, and I just didn't want it to be a problem for anybody, because we're all, you know, a lot of people are working from home. I can work because I work alone on the property. She works because she has to as a nurse. My friend Sasha is an architect, so he can work from home. And then Liz is, you know, home and then at the Harbor View. So we just, you know, thought of a way where we stayed in and said, you know, let's do it virtually, you know.
Can I stop you for one moment? And can you move your computer so you have less of the
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yep. Sorry. Yeah, so we went and, you know, downloaded the app Zoom, and kind of, took it from there.
And who married you?
My friend Sasha Robinson White.
And he's a justice of the peace?
He got ordained for the day. So I didn't want him to let it go to waste. So we ended up just doing it on that day.
And had you planned your vows or what you were going to?
Well, it was more lenient because we kind of did like a rehearsal up at the gazebo, but we didn't, we stayed 6 feet apart. We went through the vows and did the whole ring exchange because it was for West Tisbury, so we had to get married in West Tisbury. So we stayed 6 feet apart, and then we said, we'll do the real thing, the actual, we'll do it again at 5 o'clock, because we did it kind of far, 6 feet away from each other on a rainy day. But I was like, we wanted to kind of dress up a little bit, so we had to plan on doing it at 5 o'clock, and we would, dress up for it. So, and then she was on a conference call with her girlfriends, like a joint message, and she looks at me and says, "Can I tell them?" I said, "Sure." So she tells them 45 minutes before we were to get married that she was getting married to her friends, and her friends just completely was like, "What? Are you for real? Are you serious?" And her group of friends, like, they go above and beyond for each other. If it's like someone's birthday or engagement party, wedding, they just, and she is just the biggest giver, has the biggest heart ever. And she goes above and beyond for her friends. And so her friends they actually scrambled something together within, an hour. And, to our surprise, after we got out of our clothes and husband and wife and, toasting, drinking champagne, just relaxing, staying in quarantine, all of a sudden we hear like all these horns and music, and we go out, you look out the window and you see the cars coming in, we go on the porch and let the dogs out. And it was pretty amazing.
That's
pretty
great.
Yeah, we had no idea what was going on.
How many cars do you think came?
I would say 15, 20. There was a lot. There was a lot that you couldn't really see in the video because they were still coming up, and we live in a development, so people were coming from all sides and stuff, and it was a riot. It was a nice surprise. And
you could talk to them from the porch?
Yes. Well, we didn't. Everybody was just honking their horns, and they stepped out of their car and stayed by their car, and some were, everybody made sure they stayed 6 feet apart, but everybody's like, "Congratulations!" And all we can do was just wave and film and say thank you, and you kind of want to wish you could go out there and give them a hugs and kisses, but I guess we'll have to wait for that once we get cleared from all this.
How long did people stay?
I would say for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, because I guess the cops received a call, because at the beginning of the road, I guess that's where everybody congregated and set up to get the motorcade ready. And someone probably got freaked out because they saw the masses and the cars. And I know a lot of the Oak Bluffs cops, and they actually came and did the round, but they didn't kick anybody out. But I think at that point, it didn't take a lot to get people out of the house at this time. So some people were in their cars in their pajamas, and they're just happy to see that, we did it. We didn't let this, flu stop us. So
you did it. you did a real service for people, showing life goes on.
Yeah, and it was just we were gonna cancel this and wait, but it's just you know at that point you're letting this disease win, and you know all you see and hear on the news is COVID-19, people dying, and you don't really hear, you hear about the good stories about people donating, making masks and everything, but it's nice to see that love is still, people are still celebrating love and getting married, and kind of keep it in the norm, make it a norm.
Has your life felt different since you got married?
No, it's she's my best friend, and she's amazing. I thank her almost every day for what she does, going into work, knowing that she could, potentially be at risk, and, coming home and putting me at risk. But, when you become a nurse, that's what you sign up for, and I think she was born to do this.
Well, as I said, tell her thank you for what she's doing.
I will.
What part of the hospital is she working in?
Up in acute, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, so, when you, all this attention that you've gotten about your wedding.
Yes.
What do you feel about that?
It's nice. It's nice that it went a little further than the island. It went to whoever watches Channel 7 News, and I did get a lot of calls and a lot of texts congratulating, and it's a lot of people say it's nice to see some positive to this during this time, and it's just been great. But I don't see many people because I've been quarantined, and I go up to work periodically to make sure everything is okay, but I really haven't seen anybody to get congratulated.
Can you take your dogs out walking outside?
Yes, we usually do a loop, or we'll take them to the beach. Just we stay away from people, and where I work, there's a private beach, so I can just walk them and let them off the leash, or I bring them to work, if it's nice out. But for the most part, if I'm doing yard work, they're out there with me all day.
Great. Is that the dog?
Snoring?
Is that him? That's
yeah.
Great. Okay. Well,
Bentley.
That's his name, Bentley?
Yeah, Bentley and Nico.
Are you guys talking about your honeymoon?
No, honestly, we're just, we just, we bought the house over a year ago, and we got it the whole thing, and there's still some projects to finish, and we kind of as we just before we went on vacation to St. John, we actually we got engaged before then, so that was kind of like a pre-honeymoon, I would say, but we'll definitely do one after.
Well, Jarrett, can you think of anything else you'd like to say about this?
It's just really nice to see how the community has come together, and everybody's, doing their part to stay safe, and everybody's staying in, and it's amazing how much support that this island community gives, even though we're kind of a little disconnected with the real world with things that go on, but just, as everybody else, we we've gotten it here, and you know, it's the first wave and they're talking about the second wave, but as long as people just do their part and staying in and, you know, not spreading it, that's all we can ask for. Oh, can I say one more thing?
Sure.
Just, I forgot. We can't put Bill's name in the, we can just say a property in West Tisbury.
Sure. Why don't you say, I'm working at a property, give me a sentence, a whole sentence, so we can.
I manage 186 acres in West Tisbury.
Good.
Cool. Yeah, I think pretty much gave you like my life story.
I'm sure there are more details than that.
Yeah, and if you need anything else from me, I'm always available, and you can reach out to me.
Great. Well,
Okay.
thank you. It's been so nice meeting you face to face, or sort of face to face.
Yeah, I guess this is like kind of a new norm.
Yep. Hopefully a temporary, very temporary.
Yeah, I agree.
But thank you so much.
But thank you too.
Okie dokie.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a great
Thank
weekend.
you.
Bye.